my favorite book has always been the Bible. It's the most mysterious book I've ever read. All religious books, I like them, even before I learned alchemy. But my real hobby has always been language. And I was fascinated the fact that when you dig in archaeology, we had all these different cultures in history, in antiquity, and but we're told biblically we had one language. And the way it's phrased, the tongues were divided. Okay, I talk about it all the time. The scribes scribbled the scriptures and gave us Bible, Bibble, Babble at Babylon. They divided the tongues. So to me, it's just like a puzzle you have to put back together. So I looked at each language as a piece of the puzzle until I became aware that Arabic was flipped Greek, or Greek is flipped Arabic, whichever way you choose to look at it. To me, Greek is the masculine flipped of the feminine version Arabic. Okay, feminine Arabic is a fire language. It's considered a feminine language, and Greek are an Eastern tradition, and Greek is the Western masculine counterpart. Hence, how Fomalhaut translates out to Thalem. You just take no vowels, you throw away the L. So, there's really only one language. It's just been scribbled or bibbled. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. When you put it together, it's one puzzle. And to me, there's only, like we go to school and we have different subjects. To me, there's only one subject because they're all the same thing. Let's begin. There are 3 crosses at Golgotha. There are 3 crosses in the heavens. The cardinal cross, the mutable cross, and the fixed cross. That's the same thing as the 3 pillars in Freemasonry, the 3 paths in Kabbalah. So, religion, the 3 crosses at Golgotha, is the same thing as astrology, the 3 crosses in the heavens, is the same thing as Freemasonry, the 3 pillars, is the same thing as Kabbalah, the 3 paths. It's all the same thing. It's just a different perspective or tradition and a way of looking at it. The original language was an alchemical language of symbols, and they gave each, it's like hieroglyphics. Each symbol had a meaning, because in Arabic a picture paints 10,000 words, not 1,000. We dropped a 0 in the Western tradition somewhere, but the original, which is why I think Arabic or the feminine language came first, because the tradition is older than the Greek. The ancient hieroglyphs were older than the Greek tradition is on top of it. If you dig in archaeology below the Greek, you find an ancient Aramaic tradition, or an Egyptian hieroglyphic language. And that language was worldwide. And it's just alchemy, what we call sigil language or sigil magic. Because that's the way things are manifest. This reality manifests what, in this age, what we collectively ask for. Consciously sometimes and subconsciously sometimes. Depending on where Pluto and Uranus are in the scheme of things. And everybody gets a turn around the wheel. All of the traditions, regardless of what they are showing you that the path up the middle in Kabbalah, the ladder up the middle in Freemasonry, the fixed cross at Golgotha, the middle cross. The Nag Hammadi calls it the unshakable race of humanity, or the unmovable. That means fixed. So the Nag Hammadi's talking about the same thing. And it's talking about us, the flesh and the spirit, and the path in between them. It's not the left and the right. It's right up the middle. That we think we have two hemispheres to our brain, but when you have to cross over from one hemisphere to the other, some of us think with our left brain and some of us think with our right brain. That's the difference between us. But regardless of what you're studying, I mean, when you talk about Kabbalah, that includes Gematria and all of that. Well, that's alchemy, it's religion, it's astrology, it's philosophy, it's everything. It is all inclusive. And what they've done is, when they babble the tongues, they broke it up into cultures and groups. They divided the body of Osiris. Osiris is a body of knowledge. And everybody got one of the symbols. Each culture got one. And when you put it all together, you see the original language, the original plan. You see everything. The Bible tells us that the New Jerusalem that comes down out of heaven is the bride. She's adorned, and she's waiting for the sun to move around her circle. The new city of Jerusalem, it's the new Israel, the 12 tribes, the 12 constellations. And then you have the city of Jerusalem, which is that star. We know that Fomalhaut is Bethlehem. Fact. Not moving. Fixed. And when you know where one star is, then you know where the other three are on the fixed cross. And you know how the plan is laid out. It's laid out like, here we go, Atlantis is a circle. It was a circle city built on the representations of the heavens. Just like Egypt, which is really Babylon. It's not Egypt. The fortress of Babylon, its name is still engraved and its pillars are still there in downtown Cairo. That tells you that this is the fortress of Babylon. Now, what we call Egypt is really Greek because of Alexander the Great taking over the original pharaonic, the Ptolemy dynasty, one of the generals of Alexander the Great. The Ptolemy dynasty westernized all of that. But it was originally, it wasn't a feminine and it wasn't masculine. It was both. It was alchemic. It was an alchemical glyph language. So it's all the same thing. Language, science, religion, astrology, philosophy, biology, everything. The past, the future, the now, the way, Taoism. Tao and Tao are the same thing. The D and the T are interchangeable. The D, the T, and the TH. The H is a silent letter. That letter came in with Abraham because he was Ibrahim. He was Ibram, and we changed the I to the A in moving from the Eastern to the Western tongue. The A and the I are swapped. So it went from Ibram to Abram and from Ibrahim to Abraham. But the H works like a vowel, like we say in English, A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y. Well, it's A-E-I-O-U-H and sometimes Y. And Y is not a vowel because you close your mouth. You got to pull your lips together. And vowels, when you say them, they're the letters in the alphabet where your mouth doesn't close. You say a, e, I, o, u, and ha. Every other letter is a consonant, and you use your lips. There's no lip smack in vowels, and it's the vowel to L, the vowel. To take no oath it's a code for you don't use the vowels in gematria. You got to throw the vowels away and throw the double letters away. And sigil magic is the same way. It's all the same thing. To learn something, you need to get to its root, its source. I used to go to the library and beg for books on word origins that they would have to order, and after waiting months, you're not allowed to leave the library with them, and they don't even really want you touching these books because they're so few, and they're so rare, and they're so old. And I did that before internet. Okay, let me pause here. We've talked about Aladdin's magic lamp. I absolutely love the Arabian Nights because it is an alchemical representation of the same thing. I've been telling you, the Arabian Nights is to the Quran what Moby Dick is to the New Testament or the Bible. Moby Dick is about Aquarius. And they call me Ishmael. And it's Captain Ahab. That's a throwback to Jezebel and Ahab in the Bible. All these stories are talking about the way. It's talking about the fixed cross. It's talking about the middle path. It's talking about the pineal gland. And you rub the magic lamp and the genie comes out and grants you 3 wishes. Be careful what you wish for. The magic lamp is the pineal gland. I told you as a child when my third eye opened, it kept asking me, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't want anything. I found it very strange that it was hard for, I guess, my genie to accept. I didn't want anything. I didn't want anything materialistic. What I wanted was love, and there was none of that in this place. Didn't exist. So, but do be careful what you wish for. But this, if you turn it upside down, it looks like the Eye of Horus, which is the representation of the pineal gland. It has the light. The voila, light and fire is the same thing. I want to take you a bit further here. In Freemasonry, there's actually 3 tracing boards. Go figure. There's the 1st degree, the 2nd degree, and the 3rd degree. In the 2nd degree tracing board, you get the arc of the covenant with the keystone. It's a keystone. This is another look at the same 2nd degree tracing board because it has the arc at the 2 pillars. So it has the keystone. And so you have the entered apprentice is the first, and then between the pillars, when you finally pass between the pillars, is that 2nd degree, and you have the arc with the keystone. Remember, stone, star, rock, all these are talking about the same thing. Your guiding lights. In the heavens, there are 4 guiding lights, and they're on the fixed cross. And all sailors, all navigation, that's another thing. All of this is navigation. Every bit of it. You learn this, the navigators have to know astrology so they can get where they're going. It's all the same thing. Medicine, it's all the same thing. Any good doctor any real doctor, even in alchemy, some of the alchemy books and stuff, you're not a real doctor if you didn't know astrology, if you didn't understand alchemy, you didn't know anything. So second degree tracing board here. The center path is the path that we're told the story about Jacob, who laid his head on a stone and he slept and he fought an angel. He dreamed about angels ascending and descending from, it's called the stone of Scone. And he took that stone with him, so the story goes, and every king of Israel has been coronated on that stone. At one point in the legend, when all of the sons of the king were killed and everybody was hauled off into Babylon, a prophet took two daughters, one named Scota, I forget the other one's name, but they were married to the kings of Scotland and Ireland, and they took the stone to Scotland. Her name was Scota, hence Scotland, and the stone of Scone. So, and again, all of that is simply a representation of the middle path and the pineal gland. Right now we have a war inside of the mystery schools, a battle for power, Jupiter and Saturn, your Scottish right, blue right, and your red right, York right. And that's really clear what you're seeing occur in politics and really around the world. It's going on everywhere as for who's going to get power. But all of this is still the same thing. Now, here's something unusual about Freemasonry. And they use the constellation of Taurus, or specifically Orion and the Pleiades, which are both considered to be in Taurus. The Pleiades is in the upper house, Taurus is in the center house, and Orion is in the lower house. So they always give you the 7 stars so that you know that's the Pleiades. It's a Palladian group. Okay? Well, here's the problem with that, is that when the sun was in the age of Taurus, the star that would be venerated would be the opposite star, which is Antares. Our guiding light is Fomalhaut, right? That's the way. But the navigating star in the age of Fomalhaut would be its opposite, Regulus. And what they done here was chose Sirius. And if you look at it right on the wheel in astrology, Sirius is not part of Taurus. Sirius is the dog star, is the lower house of Mercury, Gemini. You got the unicorn, the Canis Major, and Gemini, Castor and Pollux. So there's a lot of error in not so Freemasonry. It's anything but free. You can't get in if you haven't been compromised. So there's nothing free about it. You must take the oath, and we were warned against the oath. Okay, again, this is a Freemason apron. They all have one. When you move up degrees, you get different aprons or different stuff to add to them, like you would a military uniform. The apron is made of lambskin. This goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden, when they had fig leaves, and then God, their God, replaced it with the lambskin. Okay? So, same thing. Freemasonry goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. It's an old mystery, but it's been hijacked. It would have been originally we would use the original name comes from a word we would call guild or lodge. In the Greek, it's fraternity. There are many different words. We use organization, mystery school, and we've talked about this. The word mystery itself comes from Jupiter, and the mystery is an unusual one, because right now we have this going on. Hold on, let me take you forward. These are the sigil, or the stones from the fifth element. And in the fifth element, the stones represented earth, fire, air, water, and the fifth element, the pentagram, or the heart, right? You remember the heart shooting, the light shooting out of her heart. And the only way to the pineal gland, you go from the heart to the thalamus to the pineal gland. That's the three. I call them the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's what the Bible would say. In some alchemy, the fifth element is spirit, but I disagree with that, because spirit, it comes from the same word as air, right? Spirit, breath, air. This is consciousness, because all of this represents the matter, the elements, earth, water, air, and fire, but it's consciousness that animates the matter, the one that makes the four come alive. Okay, it's the life in it, and that word spirit belongs to the word air. So it's not, or you could write the word consciousness or the word mind, the mind that makes all of this, the wheel go round. And again, this is the perfect calendar, because it's 72 degrees times 5 is 360. And then you have 5 days, an earth day, a fire day, a water day, an air day, and a day of consciousness or mind. And that hence making 365. You'd have 8 days a week, 9 weeks a month, 5 months a year. And then the 5 holy days. Let's stay on the 5 theme here and go to Babylon 5. If you've never watched the series, you need to do it. Especially just the title, Babylon 5, okay? This is a Vorlon, and his name is Kosh. He's a Vorlon, and he wears this thing, but he's a different being inside. And he's the good guy. And then you have the shadow, which are the bad guy. And then you have humanity, which is in the middle. And humanity's being manipulated. All of these species, all the different races are being manipulated by the Vorlon on one side, the good guys, and then the shadow on the other side. And the humanity on the middle pillar. Because it even says in the Nag Hammadi that the middle pillar is the immovable race of humanity, and its sign is the sign of the man on the cross. Let's continue, keeping with the theme of 5. Here's a screenshot of the Vorlon Kosh from Babylon 5. Here's another one. It's not really good, but this is Kosh without his suit on. Okay, without his suit, this is what he looks like, and then he disappears into a ball of light. So he's a light being that's got to get into a life support machine, like an astronaut suit, to be able to communicate with us. To where the shadow, they're a snake that gets inside of you. It's a parasite. It's a symbiotic parasite that you share consciousness with. Now, here's the guy from the 5th element. So the good guy in Babylon 5 looks like the good guy in the 5th element. It's the same thing. So you have the sets of 3, and the sets of 4, you have the 4 elements, and then the 5th that makes it all work. But you got to go through the way, the 3, the heart, the thalamus, into the pineal gland, straight up the middle. And again, Taoism is Taoism. Both of those words mean the way. Christ said, I am the way. That's the same thing as saying, I'm the Tao, I'm the Tao. I am the cross. So regardless of whether we're on the mutable cross or the cardinal cross, we're supposed to pick up our cross and follow the fixed cross. You follow those stars in the heaven. Astrology, pineal gland, memory. Your memory comes with it. And here in the Egyptian, the ancient, before the Western tradition, before a fire language or a westernized block language, and you have the 1, 2, 3 pillars. You have the ibex, which is the goat, and the man. And it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. So when you're learning about one thing, it's connected to the other thing. And I used to hate being taught what I call irrelevant information in school. But now I see that none of it was irrelevant, because little crap that used to bore the crap out of me make perfect sense to me now. Like, I hated being forced to learn sentence structure, because to me I had no use for that. And now I couldn't have done any of this without it. So everything is connected to everything else. And when you strip away what was done at Babylon, when you strip away what the scribes done, it's so simple a child can understand it. But because we've been programmed, then we have to unlearn everything. Or in my case, I didn't unlearn it. I just set it aside and realized I never understood it properly to begin with. And now I can integrate all that information back in its proper definition, in its proper place, in its understanding, and realizing it's all one thing, that there's no difference. An ant pile, they all work in synchronicity, all to one goal. You know, it's funny because the book of Proverbs speaks about ants, which is a feminine hive mind colony, bees, which is a feminine hive mind colony, and certain things run that way. But that's totally matriarchal. Humanity, we can't live like ants. That's not going to work for humanity. And they have different class systems and different structures. You have the worker bees and the soldier bees, and each have their jobs. And all of that's talked about. And they're showing you the different sides. They're showing you the masculine cross, the feminine cross, and the one in between. Now, when we move into Aquarius, it's going to be different than any other age, because it's 2 ages together. Capricorn and Aquarius are one. Saturn is one. We've talked about this, how all of the other, let me take us there. All of the other planets, Jupiter is split between Sagittarius, no, it's Capricorn. Sagittarius is Jupiter, and Pisces is Jupiter. Mars is Scorpio, and Mars is Aries. Venus is Taurus and Libra. Gemini is Mercury and Virgo. And then the 2 on the bottom are split between the moon and the sun. But both of these are Saturn. One. He's not divided. He is one. There never were two constellations. It's one star that rules those, and that is Fomalhaut, or Bethlehem, Thalem, Be the Lamb, whatever you want to call it. I call it my guiding light. So it's all really the same thing. The four elements and the three crosses are simply talking about nature, but it is consciousness, that fifth element, that makes all the difference to it all. We are the anima in the animation of it all. And we have a will, and we have ideas of our own. But there's so much programming here that it would really, our children, before they go in school, and they just keep taking them younger. I mean, from daycare into preschool and kindercare, and oh my goodness, after school, and you break down the family unit. But in the next stage, we're going to be one big family, but we'll all be individuals. You will be, everybody will have their place and their purpose. Regardless, we won't have class systems. I'll put it that way. The doctor is worth no more than the dishwasher. Everybody will do their part, because and you will feel fulfilled. It won't be competitive anymore. This age, it runs on competition, to pit one side against the other, male against female, team against team. They don't care whether you're in the church or the sports stadium, as long as you're in one of them, because you're in groupthink. And regardless of whether you're watching football or the preacher at the altar, their ritual is different. Their ritual is to control your mind. That's always been, to me, we're in the middle of World War III now. And it's not a battle. It's a battle for your heart and your mind. Your heart is where your will is going to be. The will is associated with Taurus, earth, and the heart. The will. The motto of Taurus is, I will. And that's determination. And that's the right hand of the fixed cross, by the way, is determination. It is your will. Sometimes you say it's your right. We have no rights. Look, this place is run by nature. And nature's law is survival of the fittest. So, man as a species must apply brain over brawn. The brawn is by the four elements, earth, water, air, and fire. But the brain is the fifth element. And you must control the flesh, the earth, water, air, and fire, with the mind. And then you have the higher mind. You also have a lower mind, that's subconscious, dark place. The collective subconscious is what we're being manipulated right now. And it's done by symbolism. Because your DNA has memory. And everybody's DNA from before the Bibble Babble remembers the symbols. And you're attracted to them. Some people can't get away from unicorns. Oh, that's Gemini. Some people can't get away from birds. Some people like the lion image. But they have demonized the man and the goat. And they call it Baphomet, but they've demonized that. Because that's the higher self. That's Satan. Now, Satan is exactly who the Christ said he was. Peter. All right. The way, the path, the light, the dawning of a new age is upon us. The golden age that has been written about by every culture. It's an age of knowing. And ironically, the knowing is just simply remembering. Pegasus opens up your memory. To me, a lot of what people I'm not discounting reincarnation. I know this is my first trip here, but I'm also aware that I'm able to access genetic memory. I can remember stuff that's not, I know it's not my memories, but it's part of the DNA memory. And we remember. And we don't have to learn anything in the next stage. We're just going to remember, which means that part of our brain that has been shut off is going to be turned back on. And the representation of that in the heavens is Pegasus, which is the upper house of Aquarius. The upper house is Pegasus. The center house is the man, the water bearer. And the lower house is the bird that translates to the flock. So you had a flock of sheep in Taurus, but now you're a flock of birds because you get your wings. Then you can fly like an eagle. Alright, let's look at it this way. The Sun, Saturn, Pluto, Mercury, and Jupiter are all in Sagittarius. So that puts all of them, one, on the mutable cross. Venus is on the fixed cross in the middle. These are on the cross on the left. They're also in fire, right? Venus is in air. You can put in Kabbalah, all of these would be on, it's a feminine sign. Even though it's fire, it's a feminine cross. No, this is masculine. I'm sorry. Virgo and Pisces. So this is on, and it's fire, so it's going to be on the sun pillar. It's part of the sun pillar. So it would be on the left-hand side, on the left, no, the right pillar with Rigel in the let's go over here and look at it. Orion. This is the tracing board from Freemasonry, and you have Betelgeuse and Soph make up the sun pillar and on the left, and Bellatrix and Rigel make up the moon pillar on the right, with the Pleiades, 7 stars there, and their Sirius, which falls under Virgo. I meant Gemini. It's not part of Orion. So you can do it that way. You can do your birth chart that way. Mars also on the fixed cross. So it's stable. Where things are on the mutable cross, they're transmutable. They're there to make the change. It's when they do rituals and magic when the change happens. So we got a lot changing right now. The transmutation is heavy on, and they're all fixing to move out and into Capricorn and Aquarius under Saturn's control. So Saturn and Jupiter will remain here and do all of these are doing, like the last video, the dance of the 7 veils. Your chakras are all veiled. You have to unveil each one. And when you unveil them, you're unveiling the bride. And the bride is the new zodiac that comes down out of heaven, that she's adorned. And the sun is the groom that meets the bride in the east on the spring equinox. It's a spring wedding, by the way. It's a spring wedding. When Aquarius rises in the east on the spring equinox, that's the wedding begins, and we're so there. And we're supposed to go meet the bridegroom at night. To meet the bridegroom at night, we've done this. It happens in the summer in Leo, so that we can see Fomalhaut at night, the guiding light. So regardless of what you're studying or what you're doing in your life, we're all doing the same thing. We're all doing the dance of the seven veils. Every one of us. That's why Arabic is so cool. Because once you get there, or any other culture, just pick one. People that have two cultures, they're awesome because they have more than one tradition of it. But it's really the same thing. They want to tell you it's different and pit us all against each other because this age makes money off of war. The church makes money off of war. That I love you sign. Yeah, they love us right to the bank. Mercury and Jupiter rule the mutable cross. So it's all about desire and commerce. That's what this age has been about. But you don't know that. And you've been given admiralty law and all of this other water-based law. When in truth, the law in alchemy and nature says it's survival of the fittest. And brain over brawn with the fifth element. And the three crosses in religion show you the way of how to get there. But they've lied to you, they've bibble-babbled you, and they know the truth and we don't. Because we forgot. And it's all about, when you open your pineal gland, the rider on the white horse comes, the seahorse or the white-winged horse, and it's all about, you just simply remember. It's like, and you've always known that. And you know what I'm telling you is truth right now because you've always known that. Shit just pops into you because you simply remembered. So it's like everybody's going to wake up to the Akashic record. What is the Akashic record? It's the memory of us all. And our DNA is memory. Now here's a mystery. And I've been talking about this, trying to understand it myself through a lot of my videos over the years. And it has to do with the DNA. Because the four elements, they can't do anything without the consciousness there that makes them animate. And that's where we get life that breeds, right? Animals, fish, birds, the species is to where a tree, right? You think trees don't have consciousness, but they do. They really do. When you open your third eye, even as a child, I was aware that everything is alive here. Everything has consciousness in it. In the Bible, Jesus told the Pharisees were telling the people to shut up. And he told them that if they shut up, the very stones would cry out. That everything has consciousness here. That's how it gets here. Everything is thought in mind. When you look up into the heavens, you see it's dark. Let's turn off the pictures. It's dark. This is the inside of the mind of God. The universe is the mind of God. And we're in it. We're just a thought. You are simply a thought in the mind of God. And all of these little dots, these are all thoughts and concepts and memory. And when we manifest here on earth, God spoke. I was asked that once, what do you think we are? And I don't really think, I know. I don't know how to explain it to you or convince you, but I came into being as a thought in the mind of God. And then he spoke and I came into this body. That's what happened. It's like God said, you're in that body now. And then the Son was given authority. The Son has authority here. But the Son gets its authorization from the age of Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. And its authority from the mutable cross, from Virgo, ruled by Mercury. And those are the authorities. They all obeying the law of nature. Astrology, the circle, is all obeying the laws of nature. We're the ones not obeying the law, because we have traditions and laws of men, when this is the law. They don't want you to know that. And this is the flock, the lower house, right below Fomalhaut. Deneb al-Nar. And in the the Egyptian, it goes way back to the Egyptian. It tells you